Found out my mother had been using my identity because a woman in Arizona emailed me asking if I still offered grief counseling on Thursdays. I thought it was spam at first. The subject line said, "Thank you for helping me after my husband died." I almost deleted it. Then I opened the message and saw my own name at the bottom of the previous email chain. Not just my name, my picture, my signature, a calendar link. There were 23 emails going back 4 months. The woman had paid nearly $2,000 for online counseling sessions with someone pretending to be me. At 1:12 that afternoon, while I was reading those emails in the break room of an animal hospital outside Des Moines, my mother texted me, "Did you ever figure out that login issue?" That was the first moment I knew. Not suspected, knew. And the strange thing is, once I knew, a bunch of older memories stopped feeling random. The locked office in their basement, the calls she'd take outside, the way she'd get irritated anytime I mentioned taxes or credit scores like those were rude topics somehow. You spend enough years around a person like that, your brain learns to slide past things instead of into them. My mother's name is Valerie Kemp. She's 58. My stepdad, Glenn, drove regional freight trucks until diabetes messed up his eyesight badly enough that he lost his CDL. After that, they started drowning quietly. Credit cards first, then refinancing, then borrowing from relatives they avoided paying back. The family story was always that they were having a rough patch. What I didn't know was that at some point, my mother stopped thinking of me as her daughter and started thinking of me as available paperwork. I was 29 when the email came through. I worked overnights at a veterinary emergency clinic, 12-hour shifts, broken dogs, hit by car cats, college kids crying because they couldn't afford surgery. By 4 in the morning, everybody smelled faintly like bleach and stress. My life was small but stable. Tiny apartment, used Subaru, student loans, boyfriend named Noah who fixed restaurant refrigerators and constantly forgot where he put his keys. Nothing glamorous. My mother hated that apartment. Every time she visited, she'd stand in the kitchen looking around like I'd chosen disappointment on purpose. "You work too hard to live like this," she'd say. Meanwhile, she lived in a 4-bedroom house they absolutely could not afford anymore. That should have told me something too. 3 days after the Arizona email, I pulled my credit report. I did it sitting on the floor because my Wi-Fi only worked properly near the router. At first, I thought there had been some kind of clerical mix-up. There was a counseling business under my name, 2 business credit cards, a payroll account, late tax payments, debt I didn't recognize. Then I found the licensing page. That part made me physically cold. Someone had built an entire fake online identity around me. My real age, real photo, real social security number, fake credentials. According to the website, I specialized in trauma recovery and family estrangement. I actually laughed at that. Not a happy laugh either. More like your body trying to reject reality for a second. Noah came out of the shower while I was staring at the screen. "What happened?" I turned the laptop around. He squinted, read silently for maybe 10 seconds, then, "Why does your mom's phone number appear under contact info?" I hadn't even noticed yet. There it was, clear as day. I called her immediately. No build-up, no planning. She answered out of breath like she'd hurried inside from somewhere. "Hey, honey." "Why is there a therapy business under my identity?" Silence. Not shocked silence. Busy silence. like I'd interrupted her while she was carrying groceries. Finally, she said, "Can you not start yelling?" I wasn't yelling yet. That's the thing I remember most clearly. How long has this been going on? A couple years. My stomach dropped so hard I had to sit down again. What? It started during COVID when everything got bad. Everything got bad. People say that phrase when they want hardship to sound weather-related, like nobody made decisions inside it. She kept talking. At first, it sounded almost reasonable in the way scams sometimes do when someone explains them calmly enough. Women paid for wellness coaching, not therapy. She never technically claimed to be licensed. She only used my information because her credit was ruined already and it was temporary. Then I asked her how much money had gone through business. That's when she stopped sounding calm. Oh my God, why are you acting like I murdered someone? I remember Noah slowly turning the TV volume down in the other room. Not off, just lower. My mother started crying after that, but it felt strange. Delayed somehow. Like she realized halfway through the conversation she was supposed to sound hurt. We were trying to survive. We? Glenn knew some of it. Some of it. I wrote that phrase down later because it bothered me so much. People always know some of it. Nobody in these situations ever says, "Yes, I fully understood every fraudulent detail and supported it enthusiastically." They float around the edges of responsibility like it's radioactive. I drove to Cedar Rapids that weekend. 6 hours total there and back. The whole drive I kept rehearsing different versions of the conversation in my head. Calm versions, angry versions, adult versions. None of them happened. Their house looked too normal. That genuinely upset me. Wind chimes, bird feeder, my mother's gardening gloves on the porch rail. Inside, she made coffee like this was an awkward holiday visit instead of a confrontation about identity theft. My stepdad stayed in the living room pretending to watch a fishing show with the volume too high. At one point, my mother asked if I still wanted the leftover lasagna from the freezer. That almost broke my brain more than the fraud. I finally said, "So what exactly was the plan?" She wiped crumbs into her palm before answering. "We were going to transfer things over eventually." "What things?" "The business." "There should not be a business." She got irritated immediately. "You think money just appears out of nowhere?" "That's not what I said." "Well, somebody had to keep this house." There it was. The house. Not medical bills, not desperation, not survival. The house. Everything in that family always came back to appearances eventually. My mother cared deeply about looking stable, looking respectable, looking successful enough that nobody at church asked questions. A week later, I learned she'd been charging some clients almost $400 a month for private recovery mentorship. One woman had been talking to her after losing a child. That part sat in my chest for days. Not because my mother was uniquely evil. Honestly, that would have been easier. The disturbing thing was, I think she actually believed she was helping people. That's what made it slippery. If somebody steals from you while fully understanding they're a thief, your brain knows where to place them. But my mother had built this whole emotional logic where need canceled permission. That's harder to fight. I almost didn't report her. That's true. I told myself I needed more information first, more documents, more certainty. Really, I was stalling because once police reports exist, families stop being families in the same way. Things become evidence. Noah kept asking if I was okay. I started lying automatically. Yeah, just tired. I wasn't tired. I was embarrassed. A different thing. Embarrassment makes you weird. I stopped answering friends, stopped posting online, started checking my banking apps obsessively at 3 in the morning. One night, Noah woke up and found me sitting on the bathroom floor, comparing signatures from old Christmas cards to LLC documents. He didn't say anything for a minute. Then, "You need help with this." "I am helping." "No, you're marinating in it." That annoyed me enough I snapped at him. He slept on the couch after that. The next morning I apologized before work and he said, "It's fine," in a way that clearly meant it wasn't. That was around the time collection agencies started calling. Not aggressively at first, just enough to remind me my name no longer belonged entirely to me. A lawyer in Omaha finally explained what I was looking at. Identity theft, tax fraud, business fraud, possible insurance issues if clients believed they were receiving actual therapy services. She asked if I wanted to file formally. I said I needed a few days. Then she asked something that stayed with me. "Are you trying to protect your mother from consequences, or yourself from feeling guilty?" I hated her a little for that, because I knew the answer immediately. The final thing that pushed me over happened accidentally. My mother mailed me paperwork she wanted signed. Not official documents, just typed agreements transferring administrative ownership. At the bottom, she'd highlighted where I needed to sign. There was a sticky note attached. "We need to get ahead of this before people start digging around." People. Not authorities, not investigators. People. That was her real fear. Not what she'd done. Being seen correctly after doing it. I filed the report the next morning. After that, everything slowed down in the ugliest possible way. Phone calls, statements, tax records. Long stretches where nothing happened, and then suddenly 6 things happened at once. Relatives started reaching out almost immediately. One aunt called crying before she even knew details. Another sent me a 3-page Facebook message about forgiveness. My cousin Eli texted, "Honestly, this sounds like something your mom would do." That message made me laugh harder than anything else during the entire year. Noah moved out eventually. Not dramatic, no cheating, no screaming. We just got worn down. Every dinner became about court deadlines or documents or some new horrible thing investigators uncovered. Trauma turns conversations repetitive. You stop sounding like yourself after a while. The investigation lasted nearly a year. Turns out multiple women had genuinely believed they were receiving licensed grief counseling. One mailed handwritten letters addressed to me personally describing panic attacks, medication struggles, marriage problems. I kept thinking, these people trusted my face. That part still bothers me more than the debt sometimes. My mother took a plea deal eventually. No prison, probation, financial penalties, business dissolved. My stepdad avoided charges entirely by cooperating early. I think that hurt her more than the legal outcome did. The last time I saw her was outside a federal building in Cedar Rapids after one of the hearings. Cold morning, everybody exhausted. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not dramatic small, just older. She asked if I understood why she did it. And the awful thing is, I did understand. That was never the problem. I understood the panic, the shame, the fear of losing the house, The humiliation of running out of money in your 50s while everyone around you pretends to be comfortable. I understood all of it. What I couldn't understand was looking at your daughter and deciding her future was the most convenient place to hide.